Uh, I spend so much time admitting bots and note takers and saying okay to recording messages. Oof,
The
that
valiant
better?
effort.
That is better. My goodness gracious. Hey, everybody.
Good to see you, Chris.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm
Good.
back.
He's
I'm back. I was just chatting, sorry, a couple minutes later, chatting with this guy, Justin Thompson or Thomas, who lives over in the Netherlands. He's just like a guy that I met on LinkedIn. He did one of Darren McKee's cohorts, so I found his content, but he's an expat living in Holland and working over there. And I was just like so freaking intrigued by his life living in Europe and kind of doing his thing. I didn't have enough time for the questions I had.
You got to be careful with that. You start to rethink the whole wife and kids thing when you see these guys living in Europe. You're like,
he's got a wife and kids. I'm like, what is your?
Yeah.
He's got a 9-year-old daughter, and I'm like, what are you doing for schooling? He's like, we fucking threw her in a Dutch school. She speaks Dutch now. She's just adaptive.
yeah.
So yeah.
Hey,
Anyway.
it makes sense. Like people immigrate to the U.S. all the time and throw their kids in school, and they figure it out.
Yeah,
Right.
we're pretty flexible
Yeah.
in the big picture. Yeah, he was drinking
Yeah.
a New England IPA over there. I see all your beers in the back there, Mister. So I was like, "What the hell's that thing? I didn't know you could get those over there."
Yeah,
But anyway.
they're harder to find over there, that's for sure.
Yeah, but he was no, he had found a couple of local breweries that were producing some really good stuff. So, anyways, I learned a lot in half an hour.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well,
So I have a question. I have a question for Michael Cups. Did you at least make Brandon pay for In-N-Out?
we didn't have
We
In-N-Out
didn't actually
together.
go to In-N-Out together. He kept telling me he wanted to go in Texas because I guess you don't have them in Georgia, and then I was in Phoenix when I went to that one. So I thought I'd take a picture to make him jealous.
And it worked, except for the fact that the night before you and I met, I did pop into an In-N-Out and had one because, and I agree with you. It's not like this phenomenal burger, but it's memories.
Yeah.
Nostalgia.
I-
You're eating the
I-
nostalgia.
Yeah, I grew up on that. Well, speaking of nostalgia, Chris, give us an overview of your trip. You had good trip.
So awesome. Yeah. The great weather in Italy. We got there. It's hot and it got cooler as the week progressed, but we saw some great stuff. Travel is so easy. Their public transport systems are so far superior to what we've got. You can go from Milan to Florence is about a 4-hour drive, or you can just take a train that takes 2 hours, and it goes like 200 miles an hour, and it cuts through the mountains, through these tunnels and stuff. And I thought these were going to be tremendously long and arduous days, and they were a piece of cake. So that was cool. Great food, great wine. Saw a lot of good stuff, and spent some quality time with the family. Some of it was fun, some of it was stressful, some of it there was yelling and screaming and whatnot, but it's all good there. My daughter who lives there, I would say the maturity and the thinking, just outside the box and taking care of her shit, right? Just that was wonderful to see.
Yeah.
And you just kind of, again, right, it's like my conversation with Justin, it's like you throw your kids or the kids into this situation and they adapt and they figure it out, right? So it's a reminder as a parent to like just back the fuck off and let them live their life and figure shit out instead of always trying to solve all their problems. So that was really cool to see. And then we went to Amsterdam, and she came with us and her friend came. And the way that these two 20-somethings, move through the system and through the world, and they're, figuring shit out as they go. Her friend on Saturday night decided to go to the Czech Republic. She's like, I got a friend over there. I think I'm just gonna, instead of going back to Milan, I'm just gonna go to the Czech Republic for a couple of days. I'm like, okay. And she figured it out. Got herself a cheap flight, had to go through Manchester, England, and So I don't know. I was impressed. I was impressed with them, and just the history. It's so cool. Amsterdam, was started in like 1250, and then kind of started really growing more like 1400. So very old medieval, and then Italy is just ancient. Half the cities are built on these Roman ruins. Which is amazing. It's like, see those skinny red bricks right there? Those are from, the collapse of the Roman Empire. Those, they recycled the rubble and built buildings out of it. And it's like, damn, that's old. Very
Yeah.
cool. So yeah. And, I didn't know what I was going to do with the whole LinkedIn thing and whatnot. And I appreciate several of you guys had some thoughts, and just kind of keep it organic and stop stressing about it and stop worrying about my little, I need to post every day. And it just kind of, I felt really good about how it all played out. I didn't really do any work. That was really the most work related thing I did. And for the most part, it was pretty fun. And I was kind of sharing pictures, and in some cases relating, stories that were relevant, and other things that was just like, hey, I just saw a bunch of cool stuff today, and I wanted to share what I'm seeing.
What'd you learn, like, for the rest of us? What did you learn about your LinkedIn? Anything from taking that time up, taking a cool trip, posting about a cool trip?
I would say, educate and entertain. So I've gotten several people who were like, oh, that looks like a great trip. Would you recommend going somewhere or something like that? So some of it was just like local knowledge. I ultimately found the Keukenhof gardens, the tulip gardens in the Netherlands, through this guy, Justin, I was just talking to, because he lives there. I had reached out to him, and he suggested going there. It was absolutely phenomenal. I think a couple of the funny, goofy pictures, like me holding everybody's stuff, like that just became a thing. Like, you're the holder of the stuff, and everybody can relate, literally, right? Every dad in the world, every mom, whatever. Like, especially now, girls just want to take all these selfies and shit. So they got to look a certain way. So they're hanging all their shit on me as I stand there. And I'm just like, it was kind of, funny to put that up there, not with any expectations about how many people it resonated with. And it's just a connection point, because we've all been there, right? We've all been, the dad or the, the husband or whatever, or wherever we are, Disney, or, going here or there, and you just end up holding all their shit or carrying all the stuff, and it becomes a nice relationship, point. So I guess those are some kind of takeaways. And just, it was kind of fun to see different stuff and be able to share it, and then have other people relate, similar stories, or, oh, I got to go to Lake Como, or I went last year and I had an amazing time. So it was pretty neat.
Anybody have questions for him? Nothing? All right.
I'll just share this, Chris. I had the, now it was probably 20 years ago, because she's 40 now, but my daughter did 2 semesters in Italy and a semester in London, and probably matured more in that year than she has ever done in 10 years. I mean, I don't want to say she was a completely different person, but she was a different person when she got back.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's awesome. Good to see.
Cool. Anybody else? Anything you want to add to it?
I just thought it was fun following along, Chris. So, I mean, I think, again, it's part of your personal life, your personal brand, and it was very relatable. So I thought you did a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's and now I think it resonates when I see other people doing something similar. Like, it's very relatable, right? And we're all trying to find our way through this journey and try to figure out, like, what's the right thing to do, or is there a right thing to do? And at the end of the day, you gotta go with your gut and try to create something that's relatable, but it's meaningful at the same time. So I was concerned about it going in, or concerned from a standpoint, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I just kind of did what felt right, and thought it worked out pretty good. So thanks for the props on that, Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good stuff, guys. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna ask you guys to give me like 1 minute. I had a breakfast meeting this morning and it didn't sit well. I'm gonna go grab a soda water. Real quick. It'll take me like 30 seconds and then we'll jump into this. So, you know, what was that Saturday Night Live character? Talk amongst yourselves.
Fantastic.
Hey, Chris, I think I commented on your post where you were holding all the stuff. When I
Yeah.
saw that, I just immediately thought of ski resorts where kids are just running off and dad's got like 4 sets of skis and poles and
Yeah.
kids maybe have their boots.
Going skiing with little kids I'm a skier and I loved it, but going skiing with little kids it's awful. They should just be born knowing how to ski and being able to put their own boots on.
That's what ski instructors are for. Just saying.
Oh my gosh.
I will pay for that.
We had, when we lived in Idaho, we had a ski house and the kids were also at a school that was a 4-day school week for some reason. So we would go up, we had church on Friday night, and then we would go to our place and we'd be there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we'd play and ski and do all that stuff. And I'd work from there on Monday. But our son was the youngest at the time. He was like 4 or 5, and he always wanted to go do a run. He always wanted to go skiing because he wanted to be like everybody else. But I would literally hold him from underneath the shoulders like this and bend over, because if I let him go on his own weight, he would just go boom. And so I'd have to hold him. And so he got 1 run. That's all I could do was 1 run because I would hold him the whole way down. So anyway, all right, let's jump into it. So what I wanted to talk about today is just 2 things. I want to talk about the main goal of what we do and why we do LinkedIn around prospecting and creating those first conversations. And then I want to tell you, I'm going to share with you what we're doing with our concierge clients, how we're getting our AI a little bit more dialed in. We're going to eventually, once we get it more dialed in, we'll open it up into the fist bump tech. But then I want to show you what we're doing with it. And I've created it dawned on me like there's a little bit of a theme to my madness of what I do with sending messages. And so I did my best to kind of put it into, here's a 4-step process. You guys know I should be better at putting things into 3 steps or 4 steps or 6 steps or whatever. I just tend to do what I do. And then I've got to pause and kind of think about it and go, okay, what did I do? It worked. It was good. How do I, what's the word I use? Deconstruct it, Butch. I always say, how do I deconstruct what I created and then turn it into something that's trainable? So I think I did that. One of the, I keep getting text messages dinging in my ears. Look, I want to remind you, whether you're in Europe taking pictures, you're doing things at In-N-Out with selfies, everything that we're doing is about how do we attract and retain customer attention. Now, as much as we want, it would be great if everything that we do was really just all of our best leads were there seeing us. They're not. So prospecting for me is much more about networking than just prospecting, because we never know where that next good prospect's going to come from. And I want to encourage you guys to be open to, I do 20-minute conversations. I've put 5 of them on my calendar. Actually, I've got multiple spots on my Calendly for get to know each other calls that are low probability of being anything valuable. But what I found over the years is you never know where a good lead's going to come from. And I was reminded of this the other day when I did one of these get to know each other calls. I had very low probability of anything good coming out of it. And it ends up that this person is really good friends with a very good prospect for us. And when I told him what we do and everything, he's like, I need to introduce you to him. So just that reminder, I know it's not something we can totally control, And I know a lot of times with sales, we want to be fully in control, but the reality is we're not fully in control. You know, I got the reminder of it. One of my roommates from college, he was also my CFO in my second company. He was my first investor in my second company. We made a bunch of money together. We went sideways for a little while. We figured our shit out. We came back and we've been good friends again. He had a heart attack on Tuesday. He was 53 years old. 100% blockage in one, 70% blockage in another. It's a bit of a miracle that he survived. But for me, it was just that reminder that we're really not in control. And I find in sales, the more I'm willing to talk with people, the more I'm willing to have these get to know each other kind of controlled. I don't just open up my calendar to anybody and be like, yeah, whatever, everybody control my calendar. You want to talk? But in that, there's still a lot of opportunities that come out of it. So the post of your trip, Chris, the dog walks, Adam, the flannel Fridays, of course it's Friday. I see you weren't wearing a flannel. Is it now plaid Fridays when it's not winter?
I actually had a meeting this morning. I was like, I don't know that flannel is appropriate. So I'm gonna go with plaid today and see if I could pass that as flannel.
Good.
So maybe I'll go change.
There you go. Doing beer reviews, Josh, whatever it may be, we're really trying to stand out. First and foremost, we're trying to stand out from the sea of sameness, right? And then the activities that we do with our commenting, the people that we put in our target list, and I'm going to talk about our target list and give you a few things here in a second. That becomes a part that we can control. But that posting part, I want to encourage you guys to have more fun with it. Let loose a little bit. Let your guard down. What I'm finding and what I'm hearing in my group. So Darren McKee and I are in a group, and I still learn a lot from Darren. A bunch of these LinkedIn people. The more human type of stuff is just really resonating with people. And it's an antithesis for so many people in business, right? I know LinkedIn, it's always been, it's the business version of Facebook. None of that shit belongs here. Put it in Facebook. Guys, I'm doubling down on business has never been all business. Business has always been more personal with business behind it. And I think that's really starting to play out more now. So choose your theme. Like I like Flannel Friday. I like the dog walks. You guys will notice that I've upgraded my Jeep thoughts. You'll start seeing those videos. Nora's been writing me to get it done more. So I've got my Jeep thoughts with a little intro and stuff. Cups, were you working with Reem on getting a video theme, or you didn't get there?
Not yet, no.
So Michael Connors got his On the Road to Success. And the reason I'm encouraging these is because it gives our audience somewhere to put us in their brain. It gives them something to recall us. It's kind of like this. See if this makes sense. So I have a friend. She's been just below the C-suite of a $16 billion, $18 billion global company. She asked me not to give details yet, but she got laid off. I mean, they're a large global manufacturer. They're stuck in the old ways of doing things. They're stuck in the old ways of selling. She's been internally trying to fight it for years, and it finally caught up to them. And they've got major layoffs. And they actually just ended up selling 51% of their company was 51% of their stock was acquired by another company. And she asked me to get on a call with her, and I got on a call with her, and it just, I hadn't talked to her for a while, but when we got on the phone, she started rattling off these things about me that she learned from my consistent LinkedIn presence that she remembered. And that was why she reached out and asked if we could have a conversation, and shared with me where she's at. And one of the things she said is, I know I had been super busy when we had talked before. I really wanted to get you in with our company. It didn't work. She's like, who can I introduce you to now? I know I'm asking you to help me get introductions on another job, but who can I introduce you to? And I fit somewhere in her thinking, in her mind, because of the consistency of my LinkedIn activities. So I want to encourage you guys, if you don't have, like, I personally don't believe like every Monday you do this, every Tuesday you do that, I don't like that, but I do like, there he is. I'm glad you turned the camera off when you changed. It's not that kind of show, Adam.
I knew it was being recorded, so and I didn't want it to end up on your OnlyFans.
You should. Where do you think I make my money? I don't make it from you guys. Oh gosh. Hey, Nora and Amir, would you like scratch that part out of the editing? I'm just kidding.
Rub that.
Yeah. So guys, here's what I'm saying is, I want to encourage you to bring in more of the personal side. Relate it back to business, relate it back to business, relate it back to business. Every now and then, who freaking cares? Don't. Just, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. And use it to ask questions too. I had a sales leader for a company the other day reach out to me, and he said, hey, Brandon, you posted something a little while ago about kind of the dealing with the childhood crap and dealing with an abusive dad. And it really resonated with me. I was raised that way too. And it's affected me in my marriage later in life. And he's like, I just really appreciate that you shared about it, because, especially in business and guys, we're all supposed to have our shit together, and we don't talk about those things. He's like, would you like to get on a call? He's the head of sales for a manufacturing company. They're global, and he runs US sales for him. Now look, these aren't system, right? I'm going to talk about the system in a second. These aren't system. Look, guys, so many of my leads right now, so much of my pipeline is being built from all of these channels, if you will, or these ways that I really don't have control over, other than I've been showing up on LinkedIn like a human, sharing everything I know about LinkedIn, talking about my family, talking about my personal stuff, talking about the ups, talking about the downs. And I'm seeing more and more of this stuff just coming into me. My inbound leads are really freaking fun right now. So I'm gonna pause and let you guys talk. I feel like maybe I've been rambling. I didn't say that the right way, but let me know what you're hearing.
Bless you. I got a question / comment for the sneezy guy. Did a good job with your with muting that, Brandon. Very timely.
Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. And so these are the questions that I'm getting from some of my sellers, is like, this all makes sense. And I look at like the success that you're having, talking directly to everybody on LinkedIn who's already there on LinkedIn, and they are, and granted, not everybody's your audience, you know that, you're not trying to be all things to all people.
Right.
I guess my question, and I think you may get to this later when you talked about kind of creating a list and targeting, is struggling with doing what we're talking about
on LinkedIn.
Well, I don't even know if they're not on LinkedIn, but I feel like the folks that are in my who are followers and are connections of mine, it's all well and good, but a lot of them are never going to be a client.
Yep.
And some of those people will refer me to somebody else, and that's great. But I guess what I am hoping to try to refine more so that I can help my people as well is like, how do we find the people, our ICPs, right? And make sure that the messaging and everything we're doing is getting to them. Because that seems to be the struggle, I think.
That's the second, that's our second half. Yep,
Okay.
for sure. That's our second half. Any other questions? And I'll address a couple things. Nope. Okay. Jump in anytime. The reason I wanted to talk about that on the front end is it's twofold. Number one is there's a lot of value that's coming out of it in the form of inbound leads. There's these get to know each other calls that some of them I just learned something. I meet a new person. I go, oh, that was cool. Waste of time from a business perspective, but cool. Other times they go to, oh, I've got a new lead here. I got a referral coming in. But the other thing it does is that is your personal brand, right? And I said that, oh, they're not active on LinkedIn for a purpose because, excuse me, now I'm going to burp from having soda water. The tendency is for us to believe, oh, they're not active on LinkedIn. I believe a lot of them are active. They just don't like or comment. They're what we unaffectionately call the lurkers. But they are, Chris, it's kind of like your $100,000 deal from the lady that said, been great hearing your journey, your story. Can we talk? And you're like, I haven't seen her like or comment on anything. I didn't know she was really active. So I think that they're out there. So here's a way that we can move this into being more strategic and more direct. So number one, if the person in a named account, if you've got a named account who you want to meet, they're not as active, go and swarm the people around them in their company. Don't overthink it. I like to try and get as close to them as possible on an org chart, but overall, what their view is going to be when you get to the point and send a connection request, they're going to see how many people do you have in common. And if they click on that and they see a bunch of their coworkers, it just lowers that barrier, right? It lowers their perception that you're just some clown from the outside trying to get their attention. So I still swarm into the company. Again, try to get as close as possible on the org chart, but don't overstress it. Just get 10 or 15 connections inside that company. Because when we do get to the point that we send a connection request or we send them an email, whenever it is that they go look at our LinkedIn profile, we want them to see people that we have in common and people from their organization. It's just the simple optics of it, nothing else. Okay. So when you're sending those connection requests to some of the people around them, for me, and you guys just decide for yourselves what the right level is. Lower level people, I just send cold connection requests. I don't really care. For me, I have a CEO title. I send them out to a bunch of people that are like sales reps or customer service people or stuff like that. They just tend to accept them, no questions asked. And now I got the optics that I'm looking for. That make sense? Okay. Now, the second thing that I do, and this is what we're building it right now, and we're using it right now, and then we'll systematize it into Fistbump. But we're using our twin and AI and AI Bing search with AI in it to do a couple things. Number one, we've got an integration coming, and you guys will get access to this when we integrate it. That is giving us the prospect's DISC profile and their personality. So we're getting information on how to speak to them based on their personality. How do I sit on this? I throw an asterisk next to this because now the integration that we're doing tells me that they're concluding the DISC profile based on more than just a LinkedIn profile. There's other public information that they're accessing to get it. But my concern is a lot of people have ghost writers write their LinkedIn profiles. So if we're just looking at their LinkedIn profile and we're assuming a DISC profile or personality profile, we might be totally wrong. But I still like using it because I've been using it for about a month now. And I don't have the quantifiable data, guys. I can't say like, oh, I'm doing better than I was before or not. But I'm going to tell you this: it feels good. It's working better. I'm adjusting my tone and style with people based on what I'm learning from the DISC profile. Okay. So the first thing I do, even though they're not quite as active, is I will still send them a connection request, and I'm getting more focused on it. So this is what I'm doing. I'm using the DISC profile information to set me on tone and style. I'm doing a deep dive research on the person. And guys, this is quality over quantity. This isn't easy. This isn't fast. This is me going, hey, this target is worth my time because it's a potential fill in your dollar amount deal. And if I spend 20, 30 minutes doing the research to find something that I could use to really connect with that person, it's time well worth it. It's time well spent. But I'm using ChatGPT, I'm using Bing with search, and I'm looking for, have they been a guest on a podcast? Have they written a blog article? Let me back up for a second. Number one, if you're not reading every single word on somebody's LinkedIn profile, shame on you. Because there's gold in there if we look for it. We're always in such a hurry and we just do a quick skim. Okay, get it. You know, I don't know if I haven't shared this for a while. Maybe I shared it last week. I don't know, guys. You know, I have in my about section at the very bottom, if you send me a message and mention Manchester United, Oregon Pinot Noirs, or hiking, I promise I will respond to your message. You know how many people have done that in roughly 18 months that I've had that on there? Two. I got to stop doing this. I talk to too many people from the UK. Two. Do you guys know where that came from, by the way? I just learned the other day.
You talked about this with Samantha the other day, right? Oh, we were talking about that.
Yeah, but this is like the middle finger in the UK because, you know, they've been in fights with France forever. And it used to be the archers would use that to hold the arrow up. So that's what it became is the basically the FU sign is that we're going to shoot arrows at you.
Screw you,
At
friend.
least that's what I heard.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I heard the other day. So
I was figuring I was going to learn something like that on this call today.
hey, it's a LinkedIn social post that you could write about someday.
There you go.
Right. Go deep dive into their about section. Look at their jobs. Look what they did. Look what they say about those. Look, it might be a waste of time. It might be boring resume, bullet point stuff. But what we're looking for is there something relevant in there? Is there something in there that I can find to create some sort of a camaraderie, some sort of a connection, or some sort of a way to capture their attention and, you know, separate myself from the sea of sameness? So when I'm using the AI, we're looking for, have they been a guest on a podcast? Have they written an article lately? Did they have a workshop at a conference, right? Were they a guest on a panel? Like anything like that where they mentioned in the news. And this is where if you're using Navigator, there's some good tools inside of Navigator with that. What I've been testing is, hey, I heard you. Now, don't bullshit. If they're on a podcast, go listen to it. Listen to it at 2x speed, but listen to it while you're driving to a meeting or something, or driving home from work, or you're on the treadmill. Like, let's not BS people. That our own bullshit meters are so high because we're so inundated by so much crap that we have to stand out from that sea of sameness. So go listen to it. Find something in there that resonates with you and use that as your hook into a message with them. So there's 2 steps to this. One is the connection request message that may or may not get returned because they're, quote, not active on LinkedIn, but I still start with it. I've got 10, 15 people from their company I'm connected with. I know that I post all the time, and I go look for something that I can use to try and create some bit of a hook with, and use that as a door opener to get them to accept the connection request. Now, if they accept it and I don't hear anything from them, then I'm going to wait a couple of days. So as you know, when somebody accepts my connection request, even if they don't say anything, I shoot back a, hey, thanks so much for connecting. I hope you have an awesome day. I hope you have an awesome weekend. I hope the rest of your day, like, I make it specific. So it's not just wrote the same thing every time. Send that. See if that gets them to respond. Sometimes I just had some woman respond. She said, a couple days later, 3-4 days later, oh, thanks, Brandon. I hope you have a great weekend. Like, oh, okay. So I know she's logging in, and I could take it from there. But if they don't respond, or if they do respond in some light way, here's a 4-step approach to sending a message. Be relevant. Right off the top, be relevant. Why should they listen to you? What is a relevance to them? You got to remember, guys, it's not what you say, it's what they hear. So scrutinize your messages, because it can't be about you. Why is it relevant to them? And then tell them the problem. The problem might be, hey, I help sales leaders build qualified pipeline. As a sales leader, if you're struggling with your team to fill qualified pipeline, if you're struggling because you laid off the SDR team, in Cup's case, you're struggling because you haven't even heard from your SDR in 4 months because they're just not doing anything valuable, right? What's the problem? Give them the solution from an outcome perspective. What is your solution? How are you helping them? And then give a very specific request. Are you available next Thursday for a call between 8 and 10 Eastern time? The more specific we can be, the psychology of it is they feel more obligated to respond. Now, look, some people don't give a shit. They're just going to go, move on. Who cares? But the more specific we can be, the more likely we get a response. So be relevant. We've already been doing I always make the assumption that they know something about me from LinkedIn. I've connected with a bunch of people in their company. Maybe that's hacked a bit of the algorithm, that they've seen some of my stuff in front of them. Relevance, problem, solution, and your call to action, your very, very direct call to action. And there's lots of different ways that you could go about doing that, but use that as a map and a guide for your specific situation. And I'll pause there.
Brandon, on the solution, so let's say we identify the problem, or we make an assumption that they're likely having this problem, right? Because we know roughly who our ICP is, and we see in conversations with all of these other folks. With regards to the solution, how specific do you think that needs to be? In other words, I'm making an assumption that I'm assuming you're having this problem. and then I'm going to basically say that here's how we're fixing, or here's how we're helping other folks like you who are experiencing that work through it. Is that, does that sound kind of right? Like we're
Yeah,
generalizing to a point, we're being specific, but we're generalizing at the same time.
yes, and we're being very conversational. Like, I want you guys to scrutinize your message. This is, for me, it's like I'm talking to a friend, because I want them to feel like they know me, and I'm assuming they already kind of know me, because hey, all of us, we're pretty prevalent on LinkedIn, right? And we know that 2% of people on LinkedIn post on a regular basis. So we're in the upper 2%. Like, if you don't know that about yourself, you better know that you're in the upper 2%. You might not be whoever, right? You may not be Darren McKee. I may not be Darren McKee, but I know that my content, I may not be Samantha McKenna, but I know that my content, because I post every single day, is getting play and they see me. So I talk to them in the manner in which I want the relationship to be. I don't want it to be formal and stuffy. I want it to be casual, organic, and I want them to feel that in my tone and in my message.
Makes sense.
What else? Joshua, you got that look on your face like you're processing this and struggling with it, or you're trying to figure out what to do with it.
No, I'm not struggling with it. I'm just note taking. I mean, I think a lot of this is somewhat intuitive, but I think the reminder is, it's kind of just get back to the basics. And so I think just hearing it, writing the notes down, as I'm absorbing, Brandon. That's what's happening. This is my absorption.
I appreciate the absorption face. Yes. I
Hey,
have
Brandon.
that thinking face. Yes, Cubs.
Yeah, sorry, I had to step away. We just got a tornado watch. If you noticed, since I've been sitting on this call, it got really dark. But I'm curious, when you send that message, is there an advantage or disadvantage of using LinkedIn Messenger, Sales Navigator Messenger? I mean, does that make a difference in how they see it?
Yeah, it does make a difference in how they see it. So first of all, if they haven't accepted your connection request, you can't send it through LinkedIn anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So if they haven't accepted your connection request, you're forced to send it through Navigator, and you send it out. Now, the follow-up to this is that we're putting in place, and I know Reem hasn't gotten there with you yet, but we're putting this in place on our concierge side, is we're taking that same data that we build, we're building out, it's called, and Adam actually named it. Adam was helping me with some stuff and he created the name. We're creating a personal insights and communication style report for every prospect on your top 100 list. Part of that is if we've attempted to connect with them via LinkedIn and just haven't been successful, they're not as active, or they accepted the connection request, we send this message and they never respond, then we move it to email. And we've got these 5-touch emails that are based on their personal insights that we know, but it's also about the individual person. What we're moving to, I want you guys to be thinking about this as you're creating your content, is, and Tom's not on here, but Tom's book, he calls it the Yellow Brick Road. And Tom knows this. I'm not saying anything behind his back. I know he might be watching the video at some point. I think the Yellow Brick Road, as he did it in the book, is too complicated for people. It's just, there's too many layers. There's too much to it. But the foundation of everything that he says is very, very accurate to me. We want to take a look. I look at our prospects as being at the bottom of the stairs, right? And we need to get them to the top of the stairs. And they're not going to do it in one big jump, right? A lot of times we come in with our content and we want to take them from the bottom to the top in one big conversation. What we can do with our content is walk them down a path of one step at a time. I think it's like 4 to 5. Some products, it might be 3, but what are the 3 steps that if we gave it to them in bite-sized chunks, you guys have probably heard me say this. I relate it to like my wife's cat. He's a really cool cat, but he was a, what do you call it? A rescue cat. And I'm pretty sure some guy that looked a lot like me beat the crap out of this cat because he is so scared of me. So very loving, very great, but then I'm around and he's like on high alert. And for me to play with him or, try to break that down, I got to put a treat down, like 10 feet away, and then a treat at like 5 feet away, and a treat at like 3 feet away. And as he gets closer and closer, he's always like on guard. And if I move in any way, like he's gone. And so I think about this Yellow Brick Road process with our content as, what do your prospects need to know or understand, if you will? And what do they need to believe that if they knew or understood and believed those 3, 4, or 5 things, that they would say, I really want to talk to you. Like they would have demand. And everybody, it's different. What are those things that you've got to get inside your customer's head? But if you think about those 3, 4, 5 things, then that becomes part of your consistent content that you're publishing on LinkedIn. And let me show you what it looks like for me. Quality versus quantity is one of my, and Butch, I took this word from you, one of our tenets. I like that. I said one of our key drivers, but I like tenets. It's a more professional word. Quality versus quantity. Create demand instead of capture it, and attract and retain customer attention. Those are our 3 tenets, and you'll notice my content repeats those all the time. So my Yellow Brick Road, if you will, is if they understand quality over quantity fills more pipeline. And that's a hard one because we just came out of this stupid 10, 15 year period where everything was mass produce automation, but quality versus quantity. They understand that the big challenge with prospecting right now is how do you attract and retain customer attention, even when they're not in the buying time. And then the third one is through that, we actually create demand instead of trying to capture existing demand and be a part of that red ocean. If they understand and believe those 3 things, then they generally want to talk to me. So my content is constantly repurposing those three tenets. When we move this to email, we've got to stay away from, number one, like we've got this problem right now, and I don't know what to do with it. I'm trying to find somebody to help. Is unfortunately some of our emails go to junk folders, and it's driving me nuts. So you got to get your deliverability and all that stuff in order. But moving people into email, I use the personal insights about them. I use the tone and style based on the DISC profile that it tells me. And a lot of times it's like, be straight, direct to the point. That one is, oh, they're highly relational, use a story, use a narrative. Like, again, quality versus quantity. This isn't like, oh, let's write one and throw a few little variables in here so it looks personalized. All that shit has been overplayed and it's not working. This is me really looking at it and making sure I let AI do the heavy lifting, but then I'm looking at it and going, is this the right thing? Is this the right message? So I look at their personality. I look at their insights. Is there anything I can reference? And then I'm referencing to them first and foremost with the messages. This is the type of content I share on LinkedIn. And I'd love, I'm inviting you to take a look at it. That's my first message. Like, hey, your ABC title in XYZ industry, I create content around this. So my stuff that's going out is around the Microsoft partners. I help Microsoft partners build qualified pipeline. I mean, that's the message around Microsoft. I share content all the time on help customers know that quality versus quantity is more important. I help them create demand instead of capture it, and how to attract and retain customer attention, which leads to really robust pipelines. If you're ever interested, I'd love to share more of the content with you, or hey, connect with me, go check out my stuff on LinkedIn and we can always chat there in the comments. Have a great day. That's my first message. There's nothing about anything else. But as I go further down, and usually about 3 or 4, depending on, for me, honestly, depending on how big their company is and how busy I think their CEO is, the relevant problem solution call to action email doesn't come until about 3 or 4. And I cap it at 6. And if nothing responds, then I'll go take a look at if they're high named account for me, then I'll go take a look at somebody else in their company and go try to build the relationship, get to know each other call, build a rapport with them, and then look for the referral. That's my whole process right now. That I have Noor is my concierge, who she's helping me do all this and put all this together. And we're building out some of the tech inside of Fist Bump that you guys will have access to as soon as we turn it on and have it ready for you guys to be able to take advantage of that as well. My vision for this, guys, is my top 100. We'll get through them all within 6 months. I might be able to do it faster, but right now it's top 100 within 6 months, because I look at it and go, if I can get 25 to 30 conversations in 6 months and I can close 30 to 40% of those deals, I'm well on my way to where I want to go. And so you guys know my goal over the next 3 years with Fist Bump is 100 clients and 15 million in revenue, ARR. I'm just throwing it out there. I've got a goal right now, and just because I'm owning it, and I told my mighty men around me that are praying with me over this, is 10 new customers in the next 90 days. So I'm throwing that out there amongst you guys.
Brandon, do you use video in those messages at all, and particularly video? And I'm not sure. Sorry, you may have answered the question. I missed it. Does it look different when somebody receives a LinkedIn message versus a sales nav message? Not just that I'm connected to them or not connected to them. Secondly, do you use video in those circumstances?
Yeah, good question. So the way that they receive it, and take a look at your own LinkedIn. When I get a message through Navigator, it'll say, I think it says sponsored or something on it. Like I can still get it in LinkedIn, but it says, in fact, let me take a look. And hopefully I didn't delete it. I just got one the other day.
I see the sponsored ones. I didn't know that was Navigator. I thought they were paying to do a blast or something. So
yeah, it's something different. Shoot, did I delete it?
Is it InMail?
Do you notice there's a spam folder inside now?
No.
Here, look.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, I saw this happen the other day. You guys see this here?
Huh. Wow. Nice.
So inbox, spam. So here it is. This is what it says. Message received via premium. Oh, that's on my end because I have an open profile. What does it say?
Oh, why don't I send you one?
Yeah, but we're already connected.
Yeah, but I'm still wondering because it's easier for me to go down my lists in Navigator and send messages. But if it appears to be spammy from that source, then I don't want to do it.
There's the one that just says InMail.
Yeah,
this one.
So this one came into me yesterday. I am not connected to her, and it just came in. So there isn't anything here that shows it any different.
Okay. Cool.
Other than the fact that she wanted to sell me, she wanted to tell me that my LinkedIn online presence is really important to the growth of my company. And her company does that for people. If I was, I should be interested in having a conversation with her. Here's her calendar link. Adam, you and I do this. I didn't share this one with you though, but I said, you should really do research before blasting messages out to people. So, yeah,
Okay.
no, it doesn't look any different at all.
Cool.
Now, Cups, you asked about video. I love video, and I've used video more with men, to be honest. I think I worry that it's a little too intrusive with women, that all of a sudden there's some guy's video there that they'd be like, you know, what are you doing? What are you saying? I have been testing video, audio, and written. And honestly, it's been kind of hit and miss. Now, I think Chris referenced Darren McKee. Darren McKee swears by video, but when push comes to shove, I don't think he uses video as much, but he swears by it. My experience has been very hit and miss. When it works, like I've sent a video, I've got a proposal out to a company right now. When we first connected, I sent him a video, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I've never had a video in my direct message before. That's so cool. How do I do it?" And I sent it back to him and told him how to do it, and he sent me a video. And guess what? We became buddies, and now they've got a proposal. So, Cups, my recommendation is test it and get a feel for it for yourself, get a feel for it for your industry,
Okay.
and see how that goes.
And how do you tactically do it? Do you use Loom, or do you use just your?
No. And I talked about this a few weeks ago. I don't have my tripod. Butch, do you have your tripod on you by any chance in front of you? No. I'll send you a link to it. So I bought a tripod. Yeah, Cups. I bought it on Amazon for $20. Oh, there you go. Thanks,
Yeah.
Josh.
Yep.
So can you show the remote
Yep.
thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Remote's
I
just
remember
here.
you sharing that. I thought it was
Yeah.
just for what you're doing in trade shows and stuff, but you do that. Okay.
Yep. Because
It's so
because
easy, I can do it.
you
Any technology that I
load-
can do, you know, is easy.
that is our internal barometer. If Butch can do it and understands it, then we're good to go. It's UI friendly. You can only load a video file from the mobile app.
Okay.
So if you do it on the desktop, you have to do a link. And I just think links are a waste of time. People aren't going to click a link. It feels salesy. It's like all the negatives come with a link.
Okay, cool. I'll take a look at that. I apologize. I just had to tell my next meeting. I'm a few minutes late, so
That's
I'm
right,
gonna
go
have to
for it.
bounce off. But yeah, good session. Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Cool.
weekend.
Thanks, Cups. Happy
You guys
Friday.
stay safe.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Yep.
We are running late, but anyone else, any questions, comments, correct me on anything? Adam, did I do okay?
You always do, man.
I hope the stuff at the beginning made sense. What I wanted to emphasize is I believe the posting, it's not if you post it, they will come. But if you're not posting, the rest of the work is a lot harder.
Right.
I know we call it a personal brand, and I think, oh, personal brand, but our reputation truly precedes us. And I hear more and more when I'm asking for calls with people, whether it's through LinkedIn or it's through email, I just get more and more of, oh yeah, I totally, I feel like I know you. Or some version of that. Oh yeah, I see all your LinkedIn content. I love your stuff. Yeah, let's schedule a call. Like we have the sea of sameness. Everybody's blasting out their cold emails with a little bit of personalization. They're doing their cold calls. They're all that stuff to try and capture people's attention. We have to be different. And personal is the way to be different.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
cool. All right, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Happy
you.
Friday.
Have a great weekend.
See you guys.
We'll see you.
You too.
Yeah,
See
bye.
ya. Bye.
Brandon, Can you hang on for 1 second?
Yeah, hold on. Well, let me call you because it'll be on the notes.
Okay, it'll take less than 5 minutes.
Call you right back.